Winning this event is the dream of most every rider in Rein Cow Horse.
It'd be almost surreal getting it.
Just making the cut for the final is an accomplishment in itself.
Oh, it's unbelievable. It's very humbling.
It's still just amazing to me.
One horse, one rider, 3 events, and 1 championship title. It's the National Rein Cow Horse Association Snaffle Futurity.
This is a dream come true.
We'll have the championship action in the herd work, rein work, and down the fence.
Coming up on Your Horse Inside and Out, sponsored by Behringer Ingelheim, we're going to talk about ammonia levels in stalls and why they're so much more concentrated down here where the horses' feet are.
Coming up on Horse of the West.
The Western horse was a master of a hard world, pitted for centuries against half-wild bovines. Ferocious predators, brutal weather, and the sheer size of the country they had to cover. Their descendants are still nimble, fast, and courageous, with a rock-solid disposition that makes them beloved the world over. In this next half hour, you'll see them in action here on Horse of the West.
Welcome to Horse of the West, coming to you from the 50th running of the National Rein Cow Horse Association Snaffle Futurity, presented by Metallic Cat. The Snaffle Futurity is the biggest event in Rein Cow Horse and the buckle most every rider hopes to be wearing someday.
It's so special because it's just so hard. You know, like there's just so many variables and this and that, and everybody's so good, and the cattle, and it just when it all comes together, it's pretty special because it's just we all work so very hard.
It's almost in a fantasy land that you think you would actually get it, and so it's not something you dwell on as we're going through the finals, oh, I really want to win, or for me anyways, because it just seems like so far out there. But it would be awesome. It would be really cool, and I'm just thankful to be in the finals, and it's a very fun crowd to be around. I'm riding with all my heroes, so it's awesome.
But as big as the Futurity has grown over the last 5 decades, it is just part of this show, which is broadening its offerings every year.
We had the cow horse for cutters, we had the box drive box class, we had the cowboy class. I mean, there's so many new things, and you know, myself and the board, I mean, we're constantly thinking about, you know, what we can do next, what, you know, where can, you know, we keep building. You know, it's not that we're doing so well and, you know, we just want to stop right here and, you know, get lazy about it. We only want to keep growing this. I mean, the crowd's fantastic tonight, and you know, the horsepower these guys riding, it's been fantastic 2.5 weeks. So
this Futurity is for 3-year-olds only, and the reveal party for the latest crop of cow horses. Each horse and rider pair must compete in 3 events, beginning with the herd work or cutting. Cows are separated from the herd one at a time and then held until the cow looks away. The rider must cut 3 cows before the buzzer sounds at 2.5 minutes. Kelby Phillips of Scottsdale is riding a son of the horse he rode to the World's Greatest Horseman Championship, Hickory Holly Time. This is 1910, and both the horse and his sire are owned by DT Horses. Kelby has qualified 3 mounts for Dean Tufton, but he is feeling the most pressure, he says, on this one.
Just because I want to do good on him because of his dad and for Dean and them. And I mean, he's such a good horse. I mean, them type of horses always come with a lot of pressure.
Kelby in 1910 start off well, marking a strong 2:24 in the herd work.
I mean, we cut some pretty great cows, but he was good. I figured we had to try it. So to be able to compete with all these good horses in here, you're going to have to be good all the way through, not just one event.
This is only the 3rd trip to the NRCHA Snaffle Futurity for Robert Smith of St. Joe, Texas. It's his first time to qualify for the Open Final. He's riding Dualicious by Dual Spark. Robert trained and showed this mare's full brother, part of the reason his wife Becky bought her as a yearling, despite the filly's looks.
and she fell in love with him as a baby and told Diane Beckman that if that mare had a filly, she wanted first dibs on it. So when she was born, she was ugly, looked like a little Clydesdale, but we got her anyways.
You believed.
Yeah, well, my wife believed.
Now everybody believes. Robert Smith had the highest composite score in the prelims out of more than 270 horses. Here in the final, they earn a 219 in the herd work.
She was right there for me the whole time. She's got a huge heart, a lot of try.
Matt Cook of Elizabeth, Colorado is riding 7S Razor by Dual Smart Ray, a horse he says is very nice but a little quirky. They earn a 218 in the herd work.
So we bought him here as a yearling. We won second to sale incentive this year. He's just been a really nice horse to train. Christy Miller from Nebraska owns him. This is kind of really one of her first Futurity horses she's ever had, so it's been a lot of fun. He was good in the herd work, yeah. He went ahead and got through it and worked 3 cows really nice, and I was real happy with him.
Nick Dowers of Dyer, Nevada is a former champion of this event, and he's making another shot at the title on a daughter of the horse he won it on. NRCHA $2 million sire, one-time Pepto. This is Annie's one-time, owned by Weigenhound Land and Livestock.
I got her as a 2-year-old, and we started her, and we've had her in the program the whole time, and she's always been really, really talented. You know, I'm not going to say she was the easiest one to train, but she's always had the talent and the try. It was just, we got through some hurdles, and here we are.
Nick Dowers and Annie's one time come away from the herd with a 2:19.5. Sarah Dawson of Perrin, Texas is on yet another mare in this sport in which stallions, geldings, and mares compete equally, as do men and women. She had the second highest composite score on this horse, Are Your Checks Smokin', owned by Nani Castleman-Reed. Here in the final, they earn a 2:21 in the herd work, the second highest of the finals so far.
We had a lot of cows that were fresh, but that wasn't a very good set, and so there wasn't any of those cows I was really excited about cutting, but it worked out. There was a lot of degree of difficulty, and a lot of dirt was getting slung around because we were just trying to survive, and she was good. She was real good.
Lance Johnston of Lindsay, California has qualified for the Snaffle Futurity Open Final 15 times, but he's been absent the last 7 or 8 years.
I've had some serious back problems over and I had 5 pretty bad years because of it, and a surgery in the middle of that. But the last 3 years have been quite a bit better, and it built up to this year. And so far, I've had a great year this year, especially great fall for my 3-year-olds.
Lance, and Here Comes the Boone by Once in a Blue Boone, owned by Rocking BS Ranch, won the Pre-Futurity in Vegas, and they start off well here in Fort Worth with a 2:20 in the herd work.
The first 2 cows were ones that we really liked, and I had to drive them up through the middle, make deep cuts on them, and they were just spectacular.
Tyler Merrill is making his first trip to the NRCHA Futurity Championship Final, and he earns a 2:19.5.
I knew when I cut my first cow and got clear of the herd, and she locked on, and she was really good. We went back in there and cut another rerun, and then it was a white lineback, and she was on fire there too.
NRCHA $1 million rider and NCHA Hall of Fame member Boyd Rice of Weatherford, Texas has qualified Fabulous Fletch, another nice son of Royal Fletch owned by Kit and Charlie Moncrief. This is a full brother to Royal Smart Fletch, a horse Boyd had a lot of success on.
Just always real light. It don't matter how fast you're running or what you're doing. When you pick up on them reins, you know, they're just right there with you, and you know, they never get strung out and get heavy or anything. They're just real quick horses, you know.
Boyd and Fabulous Fletch earn a 2:20 and move into third. Kelby Phillips and 1910 are still in first. Sarah Dawson and Are Your Checks Smokin' are second. Rainwork is up next. We'll see how they do coming up. Don't write off.
You're watching Horse of the West on RFD TV, presented by the Oklahoma City Convention and Visitors Bureau.
There's so much to do, I couldn't even fit it all into one weekend. Whitewater rafting at river sports, indoor rock climbing, nightlife, amazing food and restaurant scene,
bars, shops, all within walkable distance. And I live in Nashville, that's a big food town, but I think Oklahoma City could hold a candle to any other big foodie town. I don't think people really know that it's here and it's so close.
Welcome back to Horse of the West from the NRCHA Snaffle Futurity presented by Metallic Cat. In this Open Championship final, Kelby Phillips and 1910 are in first after the herd work. Sarah Dawson and Are Your Checks Smokin' are second, and Boyd Rice is in third on Fabulous Fletch. We're ready now for the second of our 3 events, the rain work. After finishing fourth in the herd, Lance Johnston continues his comeback from years of back trouble with a solid score here in the Reining, a 2:18. That's going to give Lance a 4:38 composite after 2 events.
He was with me the whole way. The only thing was that last stop, I think he grabbed his shoe right at the end, but other than that, he felt spectacular. I'd say my weakest event's the rain work, but this horse's strongest event's the rain work, so it works out pretty good.
Justin Wright steps up with a 2:21 on board This Autumn Cat by NRCHA $2 million sire WR This Cat Smart, owned by Billy Martin. They earned a 2:21 for a composite of 4:38.5 and the lead.
He settled in, the crowd didn't really bother him at all, and he was real easy to show, maybe better than he was in the go-rounds.
Kelby Phillips and DT Horses 1910 will need a Reining score of 214.5 or better to hold on to first place, and they are going to get that done. The word from the judges is a 221.5 for a composite of 445.5, which is going to move Kelby and 1910 into the lead by a full 7.5 points. Matt Cook considers the rein work his Achilles heel, but not today. He and Kent Blau's He's a Dual Bet earn a 221 for the second highest rein work score so far. That's going to give Matt a composite of 438.5 and a tie for second.
He came ahead and brought his A game, and I mean, we got through it. He's run his circles really good, stopped good, turned good. So yeah, I'm sitting just fine.
NRCHA Hall of Fame member and $2 million rider Todd Crawford of Blanchard, Oklahoma, earns a 220 on board SCR Crackalacken for a 436 composite. He also moves on with a 435 composite on Hip Cat by NRCHA $2 million sire Metallic Cat. Owners Larry Rice and Sean Madden have already won a sale incentive on this horse.
He won $17,000 before we started, and in fact, we just sold him to Italy here, so he's going for a boat ride.
Sarah Dawson and Our Czech Smokin' came into the Reining in second place, and they're going to take that position back with a 218.5 for a composite of 440 flat. They get that done despite the enthusiastic crowd here in Fort Worth.
The atmosphere in that particular pen is loud, and so like running down through there, like they don't hear you say whoa, and so that was a little bit of a surprise, I think, to us both, but she showed through it and was good.
Sarah's husband, Chris Dawson, earns a 220 in the rein work after a 217.5 in the herd for a 437.5 composite on Linda Marr's Little Shawnee Jones by Travelin' Jones.
It's just a matter of going to the fence work now, and so that's her favorite event. It's my favorite event, so let's get it on.
We'll do just that when we come back. We'll find out who rides away with the 2019 NRCHA Snaffle Futurity Championship. Don't ride off.
Your Horse Inside and Out with Dr. Joe Carter. Sponsored by Beringer Ingelheim.
Ammonia concentrations in stalls are something that sometimes I think as horse owners and horsemen we take for granted. There's a thing called where your nose just gets desensitized and comes unrefractive to this ammonia smell. You don't just smell it like you used to. You get a little numb to it. And so, but ammonia levels are a real health issue for horses. Ammonia is actually a toxin. It can damage their respiratory tract. It can cause runny noses. It can set them up for viral and bacterial infections, upper respiratory infections, inflammatory airway disease, even pneumonia in worst cases. And so ammonia is heavier than air, and so ammonia is the breakdown product of urea. Urea is what's in urine, and you'll have bacteria that break down the urea and turn it into ammonia, and the concentration of ammonia is typically twice as high down here where a horse may be eating its hay or sleeping that it would be up here where you and I are standing and breathing the air. It can double just in a couple of feet in concentration, and that's really an important health factor for horses. Now there's things that we can do for that. First thing is cleanliness in the stall. Of course we need to pick those spots in the shavings where you've got urine contamination and get it out before the bacteria start to break it down and turn it into ammonia. You can improve the ventilation in your barn to where it clears the air and turns the air over a little more frequently. And then you can actually add different components, mineral type commercially available products that'll neutralize ammonia, in the bottom of your stall. So ammonia concentration in a horse's stall is an important health risk and an important health factor you should visit with your local veterinarian about. And I'm Dr. Joe Carter with Your Horse Inside and Out.
Your Horse Inside and Out is sponsored by Beringer Ingelheim. Before making any decisions about your horse's health, be sure to contact your veterinarian. You're watching Horse of the West on RFD TV, presented by the Oklahoma City Convention and Visitors Bureau.
Welcome back to Horse of the West for the third and final event of the National Rein Cow Horse Association Snaffle Futurity Open Championship, presented by Metallic Cat. Kelby Phillips is our leader on 1910 with a composite of 445.5 after two events. Sarah Dawson is in second with a 440, and there's a three-way tie at 438.5 between Justin Wright on This Autumn Cat, Robert Smith on Dualicious, and Matt Cook on He's a Dual Bet. Nick Dowers and Wagon Hound Land and Livestock's Annie's One Time come out of the herd and rein work in 8th place, but they have a big run in the cow work and earn a 225.5, which is going to give them a composite of 662 and a 3rd place finish.
Yeah, I couldn't be happier. I mean, she tries so hard down the fence. I mean, I've marked a 25 at another Futurity, 21.5 in the prelims. She's just great.
Matt Cook earns a 220 down the fence on Kent Blau's He's a Dual Bet. They were 3rd in the composite coming into the cow work. They now have a 658.5 and will finish 5th.
Soft cow, just didn't run much, so about all we could do.
Robert Smith marks a 217 on his wife Becky's mare Dualicious to finish 7th with a 655.5 in his first NRCHA Snaffle Futurity Championship final. Justin Wright earns a 215 on Billy Martin's This Autumn Cap for a 653.5 composite. He will finish in a tie for 10th with Sarah Dawson and Nani Castleman Reed's Are Your Checks Smokin', who earn a 214 down the fence. Nick Dowers' 662 on Annie's One Time is still the score to beat, but here comes the boon. Lance Johnston's mount, owned by Brent Stewart. They were 6th coming into the cow work. Lance making a comeback after years of back problems and chronic pain. He and Here Comes the Boon have enough cow to mark a big score, and they get it done, riding out of the Will Rogers Coliseum with a 226.5 and the lead by 2.5 points.
Oh, what a great little horse. What a great horse. Just incredible.
Perfect cow.
Yeah, great cow. Yeah. Cow was perfect. I needed something I could mark big on. Didn't have to be the fastest cow because I knew if I was accurate, they'd pay me. And my little horse was very accurate today.
How does it feel to fight your way back to here?
It's amazing. I thought I almost quit because I couldn't stand the pain anymore. But I just love this so much. So I'm going to do it till I can't do it any longer.
Matt Cook is back on Christy Miller's 7S Razor. They were 15.5 points out of the lead coming into this final event, but as he so often does, Matt puts together a killer run down the fence in the final. He earns a whopping 228 from the judges, the highest score in the finals in any event. Matt and Annie's One Time move up the board from 12th to finish 6th with a 658.
I come out, I left the corner. He tried to push me in the middle. His horse stayed right there, pushed him back. We kind of little open field both ways and got circled.
What is the Matt Cook secret?
I just try to keep them happy and confident, and hopefully they're on my side when I go out there.
The door's still open for Kelby Phillips in 1910. They need a very doable 219.5 to take over the lead from Lance Johnston, and Here Comes the Boon. The score from the judges, a 219 flat. That's going to put Kelby in a tie for first.
I mean, he dang sure tried his heart out. I mean, that cow gave us a bit of a dirty, but he stayed hooked in there, and I couldn't ask him to do any more.
What was a bit of a dirty? Tell me about it.
Oh, he just kind of slow loped there, and then he come to me and kind of left him out to dry, but he went on and gathered him up.
Since the tiebreaker is the score in the cow work, Kelby Phillips will not earn a second NRCHA Snaffle Futurity Championship, but he in 1910 will pick up the reserve championship and a check for $100,000. Lance Johnston wins his first Snaffle Futurity Championship on Here Comes the Boon by Once in a Blue Boon.
I'm happy for Lance, though. He couldn't happen to a better person.
This is definitely the biggest win ever. Yeah, we've been in this for about 10 years. I've been with Lance for about 3 years. He told me to buy this horse, and I didn't want to buy it. But the first time I looked at him, I said, I'm buying that horse. And we bought him, and the rest...
Glad you did.
Oh, yes, I am.
After everything I've been through, I didn't think I had this in me to do again. And I was riding out here, and I said, why not me? One more time. That Toby Keith song, I'm not as good as I once was, but just once. I can do this. Just once. Why not me? And that's what I kept saying going in. And, you know, I got a cow to win it on, and my horse was so accurate and so good, and I made it. Made it through.
Lance takes home the cherished NRCHA Snaffle Futurity buckle and a check for $125,000, proving he is as good as he ever was, and putting him over the $1 million mark in NRCHA earnings. Coming up, 2 other NRCHA riders who crossed the $1 million mark. Keep it tuned to Horse of the West.
I don't want to know how many entry fees it costs to get me to $1 million, but I know how many mayonnaise sandwiches I had to eat to get there. So
You're watching Horse of the West on RFD TV, presented by the Oklahoma City Convention and Visitors Bureau.
Welcome back to Horse of the West. Justin Wright of Santa Maria, California is one of the 2 riders who crossed the NRCHA $1 million earners mark before the Snaffle Futurity in 2019. Justin grew up in a cowboy family and says that helped pave his road to success.
I think growing up and being able to show in the non-pro, it gave me that experience in the show pen, and my parents were great about keeping me mounted on horses, and I owe so much to them because of that, and I think that was a good stepping stone.
It was a Futurity champion the Wright family raised and managed as a stud named Smoke'em's Prize that decided Justin's career path.
And he went on to win the Futurity, and then we ended up getting him back and standing him, but I remember him winning the Futurity and thinking that this is what I want to do.
Chris Dawson also credits his family background for getting him a great start in the horse business and helping him get to that first NRCHA million.
Family of horse trainers, both grandfathers, my mom, my dad, my stepdad, the whole family really. And so many mentors at so many different disciplines. And I think that's been a big help for my career, is just having seen a lot of different disciplines that we do with horses. And
it was also a single performance that made Chris decide that cow horse was the discipline for him.
Oh, it started for me at the World's Greatest Horseman, 1999. Went up there, I was 17 years old. Went up there and watched Teddy Robinson win it on Katie Starlight, and just fell in love. Just fell in love with the whole industry.
Both saw their banners raised at the 2019 NRCHA Snaffle Futurity Championship.
yeah, that was something else. Yeah, to see the banner up there with all your heroes, and to have so many heroes that don't have a banner up there, it's super humbling, but it's pretty good. Kind of lets you puff your chest up a little bit when you look up there and see that banner hanging there.
Give you a little lump in your throat?
Yes, ma'am. Yeah, no, that was. I don't want to know how many entry fees it costs to get me to $1 million, but I know how many mayonnaise sandwiches I had to eat to get there. So.
Congratulations to Chris Dawson and Justin Wright. Watch in the weeks ahead for coverage of the National Reining Horse Futurity Open, Non-Pro, Freestyle, and the Adequan North American Affiliate Championship. I'm Jennifer Reynolds. See you then.